Donald sat in his lavish penthouse, gazing out at the sprawling cityscape below. The golden glow of the sunset reflected off the walls of his famous tower, a monument to his ambition and success. But tonight, the opulence felt strangely hollow. Something was nagging at him, a peculiar sense that the tower, his sanctuary, held secrets he had yet to uncover. It all began with an innocuous discovery. While overseeing a routine inspection of the building, a contractor had stumbled upon a sealed door in the sub-basement, a section of the tower that wasn't even on the blueprints. The door was made of reinforced steel, its surface adorned with strange archaic symbols that none of the workers could identify. When the contractor reported the discovery, Donald was intrigued but skeptical. He prided himself on knowing every inch of his properties, and the idea that there could be an undiscovered room in his flagship tower seemed preposterous. Yet, as he examined the photos of the door, a shiver ran down his spine. There was something about those symbols, something disturbingly familiar. He decided to investigate the matter personally. Late that evening, accompanied by his most trusted security personnel, he descended to the sub-basement. The air grew colder as they went deeper into the tower, the hum of the building's machinery fading into an eerie silence. When they reached the door, Donald stood before it, his expression unreadable. The symbols etched into the metal seemed to shimmer under the harsh light of their flashlights. He reached out, running his fingers over the engravings. They felt unnaturally warm, as if the door were alive. "Get it open," he commanded. The security team called in a locksmith who spent hours attempting to crack the door's mechanism. When traditional methods failed, they resorted to more aggressive techniques. A blowtorch, explosives, even industrial-grade cutting tools, all proved useless. The door was impenetrable. Frustrated but undeterred, Donald decided to consult an expert. The next morning, he summoned a historian specializing in ancient languages and symbols. The man arrived, a bespectacled academic who looked out of place in the tower's gleaming corridors. As soon as the historian saw the door, his face turned pale. He traced the symbols with trembling fingers, muttering to himself. Finally, he turned to Donald, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is no ordinary door," he said. "These symbols are ancient. They're not from any known civilization. I've only seen references to them in obscure texts that speak of forbidden knowledge and dire consequences." Donald raised an eyebrow. "Dire consequences? For what?" "For opening it," the historian replied. "According to legend, doors like this were built to seal away something that should never be released." Donald dismissed the man's warnings. He wasn't one to be swayed by superstition. Yet, as the historian left, a gnawing curiosity took hold of him. What could possibly be behind that door? Over the next few days, he assembled a team of experts, engineers, cryptographers, and even a few unorthodox specialists who dabbled in the occult. Together, they worked tirelessly to decipher the symbols and unlock the door's secrets. One night, as Donald sat in his study poring over the team's findings, he noticed a faint glow emanating from the photos of the symbols. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, but as he stared, the glow grew stronger. He felt a strange compulsion to touch the photo. The moment his fingers brushed the image, a surge of energy coursed through him. His vision blurred, and he found himself standing in a vast, dark void. In the distance, a towering structure loomed, an impossibly large version of his own tower, shrouded in shadows. A voice echoed in the void, deep and resonant. "You have found the first key. The path is open." He blinked, and the vision was gone. Gasping for breath, he looked down at the photo. The glow had vanished, but the symbols seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. The next morning, Donald returned to the sub-basement with renewed determination. This time, he noticed something he hadn't before. A small indentation in the door, shaped like a handprint. Without hesitation, he placed his hand on it. The symbols lit up, and the door began to hum. Slowly, it slid open, revealing a dark corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly into the depths of the tower. He stepped inside, flanked by his security team. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and the walls were lined with intricate carvings that seemed to depict scenes of ancient rituals and battles. As they ventured deeper, they came across a chamber filled with strange artifacts. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a crystalline orb. The orb pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Donald approached the pedestal, drawn to the orb. When he touched it, a flood of images filled his mind, visions of the tower's construction, of shadowy figures performing rituals, and of a great power buried deep beneath the foundation. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a low growl echoed through the chamber. The orb shattered, and the carvings on the walls began to glow. A voice boomed from the darkness. "You should not have disturbed this place." The team scrambled to retreat, but the corridor behind them had vanished, replaced by solid stone. They were trapped. As the growl grew louder, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was humanoid but otherworldly, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You have unleashed what was meant to remain hidden," the figure said, its voice a mix of anger and sorrow. "Now, you must face the consequences." Donald stood his ground, his mind racing. "Who are you? What is this place?" "I am the Guardian," the figure replied. "This tower was built upon sacred ground, a site of immense power. Your ambition has awakened forces beyond your comprehension." Before Donald could respond, the chamber began to collapse. The Guardian raised its hand, and a blinding light engulfed the room. When Donald regained consciousness, he was back in his penthouse. The orb, the chamber, the Guardian, it all felt like a dream. But as he looked out at the city, he noticed something strange. The skyline seemed different, subtly altered, as if the tower had shifted into another reality. His phone buzzed, and he saw a message from an unknown number. "The path has been opened. Beware what lies ahead." From that day forward, strange occurrences plagued the tower. Elevators moved on their own, shadows danced where there was no light, and whispers echoed through the halls. Donald knew he had unlocked something far greater than he had anticipated. The tower, his monument to success, had become a gateway to a mystery he might never fully understand. Yet, deep down, he felt a thrill, a sense that he was on the brink of discovering the greatest secret of all.